Jack Welch died on Sunday. Remember him? He was the CEO of General Electric and starting in 1981. This guy was a real scumfuck. He really was. Now, I know. Some religious nutbag someplace said you're not supposed to talk bad about the dead. Fuck that. You know, a lot of people are going to talk bad about me when I'm dead. Like I give a shit. I don't have any compunction whatsoever about bad-mouthing a corpse, especially if it's somebody who has done irreparable damage to this country. That's why I will stand up and cheer when Limbaugh takes a step off this mortal coil. There's some more people, too, probably including Trump. But Jack Welch is one of them. Did you celebrate Hitler's death? How old are you? Are you old enough? Yeah, you're probably not. Do people celebrate Stalin's death? Do you celebrate deaths of people who have done nothing with their lives except fuck up everybody else's life? So, Jack Welch. Helene Olin has sort of an obituary in the Washington Post today about Welch's toxic legacy. And I like the way she starts out. She said, here's what she says. Jack Welch, who died Sunday, became CEO of General Electric in 1981, barely 3 months after Reagan took the oath of office. Like the former president, the former CEO, Welch, is one of the people responsible for the way we live now. And I do not mean that as a compliment in any way. Boy, is that the fucking truth. Do you remember? Does anybody see, we don't have memory in this country. We really don't. We forget shit so quick. Reagan's a hero, even though he allowed people to violate the Constitution, break the law, trade with our enemies so that we could go down and kill people in Central America. I mean, who the fuck remembers that? And more importantly, who cares? Welch popularized the concept known as shareholder value. The idea that the primary duty of a company's management is to increase the stock price for the benefit of shareholders. In doing this, Welch bought and sold companies. He got rid of huge numbers of employees in that process. GE share price went off the charts. It just soared. And for that reason, Welch was celebrated. Oh, he was the greatest fucking CEO in the history of CEOs, right? Imitated by competitors, lionized by the business press. Oh, didn't they love Jack Welch? Remember the 80s, the greed decade, the me decade? Huh? You remember? Helene points out that Welch routinely closed General Electric plants in what is now the Rust Belt. He closed the factories and moved the job to third world countries. This fucker, he's the one who, forget NAFTA, fuck Donald Trump and his bullshit about, well, NAFTA drove all the factories out of America. No, it didn't. People like Jack Welch started it. Anyway, Welch closed factories here in America where the workers had busted their fucking asses for 5, 10, 15, 20 years working for GE. Along comes this prick. And he said, well, this is bullshit. I got to increase shareholder value. That means, like any filthy goddamn uber capitalist, Welch knew that the one thing he had to do, first and foremost, was fuck the worker. Fuck the workers. And if you can't lower their wages because they're unionized, we used to be unionized in this country. If you can't do it that way, then close the goddamn factory and move it to Mexico or Thailand or Bangladesh or some goddamn place where the American worker doesn't have a prayer. That's what Welch did. So he moved GE plants, manufacturing plants, to places where this pig son of a bitch could pay workers practically nothing compared to the American worker. Now, why did he do it? He didn't do it because General Electric was losing money. I mean, what the fuck? It was GE. He did it because he was a greed fuck and he knew that the investors in GE were also greedy bastards, and he didn't care. Workers, their families, their kids, fuck them. Bastard. Also, another thing that Welch was famous for was cutting funding for research and development within that company. Cut the funding, fuck them. Something that can undermine the long-term health of any company. If you are not innovating, if you have a big company, especially something like General Electric, if you are not innovating, you're going to fucking die. That's how the auto industry almost went belly up in this country back in the 70s. They were producing these bullshit cars while the Germans and the Japanese and the English and the Italians were coming up with some really nice vehicles. But Americans, fuck it. So you don't innovate, and you're a big company, you're going to die. Everybody knows that, right? He totally undermined, destroyed the arrangement post-war, post-World War II. It had been going on since the late 40s, early 50s. An arrangement between corporations and their employees. And the deal was the company said to the workers, give us your loyalty, and we'll take care of you as best you can. Now, I know some of you are going to find this hard to believe, but it used to be you'd go to work for a company, and if you stuck around for 25 or 30 years or 20 years, at the end of that time, not only did you make a decent living, at the end of that you had, are you ready for this? A pension! Yeah! From the company. Money that was paid into pension funds and invested in the piss-fucking capitalist stock market. But it meant that when you retired, if you retired at age 55, you had 10 years to go before you turned 65 and draw your pissy little Social Security. But you had a pension. Oh, you don't remember that? Jesus Christ. Nowadays, did I just say nowadays? Oh, my God. Currently, the way your future after your employment is thought about, if it's thought about at all by a giant corporation, is they give you a certain amount of money that goes into a 401k that you have no control over, none whatsoever. And if the 401k tanks, you're fucked. The pension fund was sacrosanct. But Jack Welch just ripped the shit out of that. Just tore it to pieces. And what happened to the workers who were counting on? Fuck them. Give us your loyalty and we'll take care of you as best we can. And now, was Welch 100% responsible for ending that? No, he was a big part of it, though. He made money for the shareholders. That was the important thing. This was, it's the 80s. Give me every fucking thing I can get out of you, worker man, worker woman. And when I'm done sucking everything out of you, fuck you. I don't care what happens to you. And you wonder why Bernie Sanders continues to get the support that he gets? I remember Newsweek came up with the nickname Neutron Jack. Neutron Jack. Do you know why they called him that? Do you remember the neutron bomb? The neutron bomb, I don't know if it was ever made reality or just somebody's fucking fiction. Some warmonger U.S. Military engineer, maybe Russian, I don't give a shit. But a neutron bomb was a bomb that when it went off over your city, it left the buildings intact. It just killed all the people. Left the buildings intact. The infrastructure stayed there. The people died so that when the invading army, after they neutron bombed your country, then the invading army would come up, just shovel the corpses into a fucking ditch somewhere, and the infrastructure was still there. So they called this guy Neutron Jack because of his fondness for destroying people. This dirty bastard. And as an aside, I didn't know this, Miss Olin points out that he motivated his workers by promoting a huge Hunger Games sort of a management style, including advocating firing the bottom performing 10% on a regular basis. So when you went to work for GE, when this fucker came along, not only were you going to work, but you never knew if the axe was going to fall on you. Not because you were a fuck up or you were late or but because you might be in the bottom 10%. I know. How about the bottom 10% of every graduating class in high school and college just gets zero, no diploma, no degree, nothing. Fuck you, you're out. That's Jack Welch. And places like CNBC, television, which at the time was owned by GE, promoted him as a business genius, Neutron Jack. Fortune magazine called him, quote, the manager of the century, end quote. And people still don't understand why. We've had 30 fucking years of this, of jobs being disappeared because the companies weren't making profits. Fuck no! Because the companies wanted more profit, more profit, more profit. Destroy the unions. Fuck over the workers. Move the factories to East Bumfuck somewhere in Asia. They're a bunch of stupid people over there. What do they know from unions, right? You wonder why this resentment and frustration is extant in this country right now? Do you think it just happened with Trump? This shit's been building for 30 fucking years. And that's one of the reasons Trump got elected. Because that bullshit son of a bitch came up with the lies that he was going to save the working man and woman. And 60 million of them said, yeah, okay. And then just like Lucy in the Peanuts comic strip, he pulls the football away and people went right on their ass. Trump is just Jack Welch to the 10th power. That's all. Where it concerns fucking over the working class. Oh, but Fox News will tell you that he's just a great leader. Jesus fucking Christ. Welch, Helene writes, like many a corporate honcho back then and now, we've had 30 years of this shit, he believed in accountability for everyone but himself. Who does that sound like? When it came to his needs, cost was no concern. His compensation was incredible. He earned millions and millions of dollars annually. In 1997, he earned 1,400 times more than the typical American factory worker. And that pattern continued even after he retired from GE. It came out during his 2002 divorce that the company had continued to pay for everything in his life, from his use of the corporate jet to meals at four-star New York restaurants. GE even settled the bill for the flowers in his fucking apartment. Well, I'll tell you, if you figure out a way, and apparently all the ways have been figured out now. If you figure out ways to smash unions, fuck over the working class, fuck over them again, give working people the idea in this country that you have got to have gig jobs. Well, I do this job 5 hours a day, and this one 7 hours a day, and this one another 4 hours a day, and I'm barely paying my fucking apartment rent. That's where we are. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.